Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. Today we are talking in particular about two different tubes in the Bellari PA555 Preamp. Here we have the stock tube, which is a Ruby 12AX7, and over here we have a Genalex Gold Lion 12AX7 with the gold pins. After listening to these two for about a month, here are what my findings are. The Ruby is a hell of a value. To my ears, I hear very little difference. The Gold Lion is a touch faster, so it releases the signal a little bit quicker. I'll have a download link at the bottom of the video with the song that I've recorded with the Gold Lion and again with the stock Ruby tube. If you zoom in really tight into those waveforms and you match the peaks, you'll see that the Genalex is a little quicker to dissipate the energy. To my ear though, I really can't hear much of a difference at all. It's slight, but it's not significant. It definitely, to me, in this particular application, is not worth the $60 of this Gold Lion tube. For that reason, I say that the tube that Bellari gives you with the preamp as stock is a wonderful tube. It does sound just fine. You might have different outcomes with any other tube. This is just what I heard in my system with these two in that preamp. I was at a relative's house over the weekend. He's a bigger TV watcher than I am and has a beautiful giant screen, and his system consists of a sound bar with one of those wireless subs. I have to say, I very much dislike those wireless subs. I find that the timing between the high frequencies and the lows tend to be off quite a bit. Or maybe it's my friends that have them set up. I find the placement of these subs isn't optimal for the signal because you have that time lag. And that time lag, frankly, it even gets my stomach nauseous. Not everybody knows how to set the crossover properly. The bass tends to be too low, but that lag between the transmission of the bass and the high signals gives my ears this off feeling, which I really don't like. The reason I bring this story up is because of that timing. My ears really can't pick up much of the time differences between these two tubes. So now I'll share the observations that I did have with these tubes. After listening to them for about a month, I decided to take measurements on the temperature, which probably is an indication of sound quality, but it might be an indication of build quality. I had a friend over and we were watching Evil Dead Rise. I highly recommend the movie, it's very entertaining, although it is a little gory. During the snack break, I turned off my Jungsong preamp and turned on the PA3. First with the stock Ruby tube. I hit it with the temperature gun and here are the measurements that I got. 87 degrees in 10 seconds, and then I measured every 5 minutes. At 5 minutes, I was at 90 degrees, at 10 at 105, at 15 at 117, then at 30 at 130, and then at 45 at 133 degrees. I removed the Ruby tube and dropped in the Gold Lion. I took the same time measurements. At 10 seconds, the Gold Lion was already at 93 degrees. At 5 minutes, at 129, at 10 minutes, at 135, at 15, at 136, at 30 minutes, and 45, we stayed at 136. The anode on the Ruby also glowed around 4 times brighter than the anode on the Gold Lion. Quite a bit less glow on the Gold Lion, and I think that might have something to do with the build quality. The materials in the Gold Lion are quite a bit thicker. The pins themselves are gold plated, and they're even a tighter fit when you're dropping them into the preamp. You have to give them a little jiggle to get them in there nice and tight. The Ruby goes in and out a little bit freer. I'm assuming these are just tin coppered pins, but they're quite a bit thinner. Maybe that's why the heat takes a little bit longer to get to the pin, whereas the gold plated are a little thicker and seem to transmit that heat quite a bit faster. Generally, much nicer built on the Gold Lion. I don't know if it's worth the extra upgrade price on them, but I feel like you get a longer lifespan out of the Genalex. It is a nice tube. My final thoughts on the tubes, they're both great. None of them is problematic. I didn't find the noise floor to get reduced with either though. They're both about the same amount of noise. It did not change that little audible problem with the preamp where it was going zzz, 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 and you can see it on the previous video. That still remained changing the tube, so that might have something to do with the power supply as opposed to the tube itself. I also tried the tubes with the Herbie tube dampener. Again, I didn't pick up any difference in this case. I personally do believe that the tube dampeners do make a difference when the tubes are a little more microphonic. In this case, I didn't hear anything. Another thing I'll share is when my friend and I took that snack break to switch over preamps, we came back to have a seat and continue the movie. Instantly she said, "What did you change?" And I told her I switched to a tube preamp and asked her, "Why, what do you hear?" And she commented, "It sounds like we're in a theater now." Now previously with the Jungsong, the sound did sound great, But again, what you get with these tubes is you get that holographic image and gives that illusion of that surround sound, even though we're listening to a 2-channel system. You might not always want that. However, the tube amps are really a nice little fun option to have in your system. A great thing to play with. So take a listen at the 2 songs that I recorded with both of these tubes, and please do let me know if you hear much of a difference. Again, I couldn't in this particular case, but I would love to know your thoughts. And would you please also let me know if you think that's a good idea of having the download links, or if you'd rather want to see it on the YouTube video itself. Again, what I'm trying to eliminate is overcompression of YouTube's algorithms. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.